ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Bud Light. With the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light. The difference is drinkability. And Dr. Pepper. Drink it slow. Doctor's orders.
Back in Starkville, we get set for the Florida Gators and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And hey, SEC on ESPN, and it's rumbling a little bit a couple minutes ago. Could the Dogs bite the Gators? Let's go down to the third member of our team, Aaron Andrews.
Well, Brad, they're going to have to do that with a injury-riddled defense. The Florida Gators, 3 guys from the defensive line are out, and we just have some last-minute news on linebacker Brandon Spikes. He's been dealing with a groin injury. He did warm up with the team. I was told as the team ran out that he could potentially go tonight. Brandon Spikes told me he was about 80%, but they're going to see if they need him. Now, the good news for Florida, a lot of depth on that D-line. They've been rotating guys in and out. The bad news, Anthony Dixon from Mississippi State, the strength of that Bulldog offense. Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator, telling me we have got to tackle tonight better than they did against Arkansas, and they've got to create some turnovers. Brad?
All right, Aaron. Mississippi State won the toss. They want the football. Sturgis with a kickoff. It'll go to Leon Berry at the 5. Berry sneaks up the sideline and got to about the 30-yard line. And that's where Tyson Lee will take over with the Bulldogs offense. Tyson Lee, quite a story in his own rights. Had to kind of search around to find anybody that would even let him walk on Division I. He's from right here in Columbus, Mississippi. Now he's a starting quarterback. And he's quite a leader for a little guy.
He really is. I mean, he understands the offense. He's got a nice arm. He can throw the football. His only problem is he's short. And so consequently, you've got to create throwing lanes for him to give him a chance. As
Aaron said, Spikes would go if he could, or if they need him, they won't start with him on that defense. And quite frankly, that changes a lot of things. I think just the intensity and the leadership that he brings is a big story.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the good news for Florida is it didn't happen in the middle of the game like it did last week. At least they had to practice all week with Stamper in as the middle linebacker, so it's not as devastating for him to not be there tonight as it was last week. But he is the heart and soul of this Gator defense.
Mississippi State won't huddle very often tonight, if at all. Here's Lee in the shotgun, empty backfield. And he throws and completes it. And a nice throw across the 40-yard line to Marcus Green. So the initial first down of the ball game off the right arm of Tyson Lee. Let's take a look at our impact players. Anthony Dixon, all-time leading rusher now, past Jarius Norwood this year for that honor. Chad Bump is just a freshman, but he's a big play guy. If they get it in number 1's hands, he can take it to the house. And Jamar Chaney, spending time with him yesterday, he was ready to tackle somebody yesterday.
Didn't have much to say.
No, he didn't. Just the eyes.
Just kept looking at you. Kind of funny there.
So it's 1st and 10, Mississippi State. Just inside its own 43-yard line. Lee, this one batted up in the air, and it's intercepted. Florida's got it. So there, the stature of the quarterback probably had a lot to do with it. The ball tipped in the air, and Florida's got it.
Yeah, they tried to cut him. Derek Sherrod, the left tackle, tried to cut Dunlap, but watch right here. Dunlap's got a huge wingspan, and they try to cut him. But Dunlap fends off the block and is still able to get his hands up, and then A.J. Jones gets the interception.
Yep, a great opportunity. You wonder if Florida doesn't go for the juggler right here at the 46-yard line.
The play-action passing game of Tim Tebow and the Florida offense, that's what Mississippi State has to guard against. They're going to be so anxious to come up and hit on the run. Be careful.
Tebow's in trouble. Hit as he throws, and down he goes, and the pass is incomplete. And immediately they bring pressure with the Mississippi State defense. And that's what Arkansas did a very nice job of last week.
Well, the pressure's going to come off the edge here. They're going to come this way to his blind side. He doesn't see it. He's reading right the whole time. And that's just really a poor job by Carl Johnson, the left tackle, not getting a good piece of that rush.
Corey Bloomfield came flying off that corner. And it's 2nd down and 10. And now it's Tebow on the option. He'll pitch it late, and he got it down the sideline to Brandon James. Let's see where they mark him out at about the 26-yard line. Jonathan Banks finally got him outside the chalk. Pickup of 20.
When Florida runs their option-type offense, you've got to take care of all 3 things. The guy who could run it on the dive, the quarterback, and the pitchman. They had 2 of the 3 covered. They didn't have the pitch guy covered in Tebow Reddick.
Now Tebow with Demps with him in the backfield. And it will be Demps' first carry. And a penalty marker down as Demps goes down after a pickup of about a yard. But again, marker on the play. Van Wagers is our referee. And it's an illegal shift against Florida. Let's take a look at our impact players for the Florida Gators. Deontay Thompson, long ball threat if they can get it to him. They hope to do that sometime tonight. We've already seen Carlos Dunlap be an impact player with that tip pass that was intercepted. And Joe Hayden on the back end, when he's in there and Spikes isn't, he kind of takes the leadership role. And now 4 wideouts bunched to the top of your screen for Tim Tebow. Might be a double pass, going to be Demps. And Demps got to the 20. Marcus Washington brought him down.
You know, when we talked to Carl Torbush, the defensive coordinator, he was very clear in saying, you know, Tim Tebow is great. He's a great competitor. We obviously have to try to contain him, but the guy that scares us the most is Jeff Demps because of his speed. Because he's a guy, if we don't fit it right, and if we don't close the gap quickly, he can take it 80 yards for a touchdown. He's the one that they're most concerned with.
Talking about a big third down in the opening minutes of the ballgame. 3rd and 4. This would be huge for Mississippi State if they could force a field goal after that interception. Here's the throw, back out and down on one knee, and that's incomplete anyway. So they did hold, and it's 4th down. Well, the interception looks as though it can be no worse than 3 points as Carl Torbush and his defense stops the Gators with that short field. Sturgis, the hero last week, with the late field goal to beat Arkansas. So it'll be a 37-yard attempt. And the kick is going to be wide left. Well, there's a small gift for the Bulldog faithful. The SEC on ESPN, and this was a scene just moments before we came on the air in the Bulldog locker room.
You know how to win this game. Take all that energy from this team, the love from the family, from the guy next to you, from this crowd, everybody in this state that's behind you. You take that, all that energy, that giant love, you focus it into every single play of this game. Get it into that one powerful point. Do your job on every single play. Do your job. Between plays, let it explode on each other.
Well, let's see if they explode with their second offensive series. Dan Mullen with his final words before his team took the field. 37-year-old first-year head coach here in Starkville. Tyson Lee with a little option. Dixon got about 3. Anthony John with A.J. Jones, who had the interception on the previous drive.
You know, this was funny. I mean, Dan Mullen had his guys locked in and focused, but look at this clock in the locker room. It said 10 after 2. It's a night game.
Ball's on the ground at the 30. It's going to be very close to a first down for Dixon. Not everything has to work to perfection. You know?
As long as the guys are locked in, the clock doesn't have to be, or plugged in for that matter.
His big word all week was locked in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The clock was locked in on the wrong time. That's all. 2 tight ends set now. And here's Lee trying to get on the edge, and the throw to Dixon, and Dixon heading for another first down or very close to it.
I saw a lot of this in practice on Thursday. Coming into tonight's game, Dixon only had 4 catches for 15 yards, kind of a non-factor in the passing game. A quick snap, a quick move to the edge, give Tyson a better chance to see the field, and then get the ball in the hands of their best player in a little different spot on the field.
Second down at about a yard. And it's Lee in the gun. Dixon with it. Florida almost jumped. Dixon will get the call, and he'll get the first down. Well, Mississippi State's got another first down, and again, they cross the 40-yard line as you take a look at their starting lineups up on the top of your screen. Again, very seldom will they huddle up. At times, it'll be a very quick snap and a quick play. Sometimes they'll use the entire clock before they snap it. Robert Elliott in the backfield now with Dixon. There again, the Bulldogs gave the look as though they were going to go and take their time, look to the sideline. And now they're under 10 on the clock. Dupree busts outside. And Dupree's got another first down.
Well, this is really a great start for Mississippi State as we look at Brandon Spikes on the sideline. They're mixing, run and pass. They've got the Florida defense that they have so much respect for, but they have them back on their heels a little bit early in this ball game.
Basically had 3 backs in there that time, and Dupree, who's a good one, and spells Dixon at times, picks up the first down. Now off play action, they're going to flip it out, complete to Heavens. Heavens, nice move, another first down to the 32-yard line of Florida.
And really a nice job by Leon Berry out there leading in the blocking. O'Neal Wilder also out there. When you throw those kind of bubble screens, wide receiver screens, the other receivers have to be involved. Nice play for the Bulldogs.
And right now they've got the Gator defense a little bit on its heels. The number 2 defense in the SEC. Whoa, that throw had some smoke on it, moving too much. Evans trying to make the catch and can't. Brings up second down at 10.
You know, I thought it was interesting when we talked to Urban Meyer on Wednesday, and I asked him, you know, I mean, what's the best advantage Dan has from being with you and being familiar with you? And he was pretty short about it. He said, I think it's a wash. I think it gets down to players executing. And I agree with that. But I also think Mississippi State will have the best preparation for this game of any game this season on both offense and defense.
Second down at 10 at the 32. No score here. 5 minutes into the game at Starkville. Lee, quick throw, got it complete down to the 26-yard line to O'Neal Wilder. Let's check in with Aaron.
And just to add on Todd's point, you know, we asked Dan Mullen, I did, when did you start, you know, getting your guys ready for this? And he said Sunday, because for him, that's when he had to start prepping. He knows this team inside out, this Gators team, and it was quick time for him. It was kind of like a sped up process.
He said to me this morning, we were in the workout room and he was on the elliptical and I wasn't. And he said, you know, they talk about me knowing everything Florida's going to do. They know everything I'm going to do, too. It goes both ways. So there's the wash that Todd was talking about. Lee, low snap, comes up firing. Incomplete behind his intended receiver. And again, trying to get it to Brandon Heavens.
One thing that Tyson Lee is doing a nice job of tonight, even though he has the 1 interception, he is not holding on to that ball very long. I mean, he is reading it, and he's getting rid of the ball quickly. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, and he's making quick decisions.
Now, normally, Sean Broccoli would be the kicker. He's got a quad pull, so that puts it on Derek Pasquale, who can kick as well, but maybe not as deep. He's going to try a 43-yarder here. Trying to give Mississippi State the lead. Kick on the way, and it is perfect. Well, that's the way you get the crowd on your side, huh? First points on the board by the Bulldogs. Tim Tebow wants to change that when we come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by Outback Steakhouse. Live adventurous. Go Outback.
Derek Pasquale with a field goal for Mississippi State to take the lead. Their plan to win was to play great defense. They already did, holding Florida without getting a field goal. They haven't taken care of the ball that well. The special teams battle, so far 3-0 in that area.
Well, you know, that plan to win, I mean, you could say that's Mississippi State. It's also Florida's. Yeah. It's the exact same. And you mentioned Dan Mullen and Urban Myers together in 4 different places. And I've heard Urban Myers start his press conference after a game detailing how they did in the plan to win.
They were together at Notre Dame, Bowling Green, Utah, and then Florida before Dan got the head job here. And now he's got the lead here early in the ball game. 3-0. Short kick, very short, taken at the 15 by Brandon James. And pretty nice job, though, of only giving him a short return after the 27-yard line. Coming up on Monday night, 2 NFC East rivals clash this week on Monday Night Football. Donovan McNabb and the Eagles taking on Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins. ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 7 o'clock.
So you want to be a head coach in the NFL, eh, Jim Jordan?
You bet. Well, I was thinking they were going to pull you out of retirement center where you're calling bingo numbers to call the plays in that game, but I guess not. It's a franchise that's trying to find its way. And so are we, and so is Tim Tebow. Florida first down. Gives it off to Chris Rainey. And Rainey, tough run up to the 35-yard line. Rainey and Demps have that kind of speed that you can practice all week and scheme all week about, and your scout team's never going to show you how fast these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, you've got great speed in those two, and then you got the sledgehammer, number 15, when he runs it in the shorter yardage situation. He's not going to bust an 80-yard run on you, but he's going to punish you when he runs the football.
Think about his running ability last week in the win over Arkansas, kind of like Mark Ingram did when we had Alabama and South Carolina. Just put it in one guy's hands and ride it down the field. And here he comes, bulldozing his way out to midfield and a first down. 27 times Tim carried the football last week, and that was just a couple of weeks removed from having the concussion. Mom and Dad looking on.
Well, again, you've got to defend everything. They tackle the back. Tim Tebow does the right thing, pulls the ball out, and heads right up into that voided area. And again, he doesn't do a whole lot of fancy stuff, but you better bring it when you try to tackle him.
He got 15 right there. Now he's wanting to pass, and he'll run instead. And he's got 8 more yards. That's what he can do so well. His receiver wasn't open, just tucked it and took off. He's got 23 yards in the last 2 carries.
We're seeing some of the same kind of things with the Florida offense that we saw last week in the Arkansas game, and that is pressure on Tim Tebow.
Yep.
I mean, I think this is a really good offensive line, particularly a run-blocking offensive line. But in the pass protection department, Tim Tebow's had some problems.
Arkansas had 6 sacks last week. Here's Emmanuel Moody. Nice double move to get to the corner. Whoa, look out, everybody. Got a first down run down to about the 33-yard line, I think is where they're going to mark it.
When Dan Mullen left to take the head coaching job at Mississippi State, the new offensive coordinator became Steve Addazio. That's him. He's the line coach also. Now, John Hevesy, who was an assistant line coach and has been with Urban and Dan Mullen for a lot of those stops, he's the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator for Mississippi State. So a lot of familiarity with these two staffs.
On first down. Tebow will give it off inside. And Moody got 2 or 3 as we check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Brad, a very good night on the family of networks. On ESPN2, as you see Cody Burns of Auburn running close to a first down against LSU. Bayou Bengals have a touchdown pass from Jordan Jefferson to Terrence Tolliver. And on ESPNU, Vanderbilt and South Carolina have moved to the second quarter. Still no score in that game. We'll keep you up to date on everything here in the studio.
All right, partner, thanks. Here, 3-0 Mississippi State. Tim Tebow and company trying to change it. Down the middle, complete to his #1 target, Riley Cooper. At least his #1 target last week. And Cooper's got another first down.
Well, this is excellent pass protection. Mississippi State came with pressure. Nice job by the line, and Aaron Hernandez also. Watch him pick up the blitz on the outside. That leaves single coverage, and Tebow does a nice job of finding his downfield guy, Riley Cooper. But it started with that pickup of the blitz.
Pickup of 21 and a first and goal as Cooper with his 24th catch of the year. And now Florida's got it down at the Bulldog 8-yard line. Tebow's going to keep it. Tim Tebow heading to the goal line. Not quite. Down to the 1.
See, that's one of those deals where even when you know, or probably are 99% sure that's what's going to happen, he's going to keep it, you still have to tackle the guy. I mean, he's still 6'3", 240 pounds, and you got to get him on the ground.
And they got him on the ground, but not before he got it to the 1-yard line. Tim Tebow is 1 rushing touchdown behind Herschel Walker in the all-time SEC record books. Tebow Did he get there? Not quite. Down at the 1-foot line. K.J. Wright made first contact. So now it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Now, one of the problems of being in the shotgun as much as Florida is offensively is, you know, when you snap the ball, you've taken it from the 1-yard line back to the 4- or 5-yard line just in the snap.
And again, that's the way they'll set up. 3rd and goal. Tebow, nowhere to hide. The Bulldog defense is there to drop him, as Todd said, about at the spot that he took the snap, back at the 4-yard line.
They got penetration, which you have to do, and that's the one thing I don't like about spread offenses and shotgun snaps on the 1-yard line. The ball goes from the 1 to the 6, and Tebow barely makes it back to the 4. I mean, if you get penetration, you got problems.
So for the second time, Mississippi State's defense will force a field goal attempt. Sturgis missed the first one. This should be a chip shot from 20. Right in the middle of the field. Basically an extra point, and it's up to tie the game. But, again, Florida's offense denied. A fired-up head coach, Tim Tebow, can't score. The field goal unit does. 3-3 here in Starkville. We talked about Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator. Urban Meyer wanted a little clarification on something right there at the end of that drive.
Well, he wants to know how this guy, Pernell McPhee, got such great penetration into the backfield. He's going to take Mike Pouncey, number 55, and drive him right back into the quarterback. He doesn't get credit for the tackle, but he made the play. And for that guy, that's a big-time play. I mean, Pernell McPhee grew up in Pahokee, Florida. He grew up a Gators fan. This is a fun game for him to play in as well.
This is what everybody's been talking about all week, and Urban Meyer said, you know, I know everybody's harping on me about the red zone possessions, and look what's happened here the last 7 times. 1 touchdown, 3 field goals. So they have had trouble. Of course, it was turnover problems for the most part in the red zone last week. This time not turning it over, just getting stuffed by Carl Dorbush's defensive fronts. So we're tied at 3. It was a 68-yard drive in 10 plays. Took a little over 5 minutes to tie things up. And as Sturgis will kick. Again, it's going to go to Leon Berry at about the 1 this time. And Berry gets popped as he crossed the 20-yard line. Out at the 22. In the last 4 games, Florida, even though some of their statistics are even better than a year ago, a pretty vast difference right now in points and the turnover margin. That'll kill you every time. It makes a lot of those things look bad. So the red zone touchdown percentage down 26%.
And the one that's most surprising to me in that is the turnover margin, because ever since Urban Meyer, and really everywhere Urban's been, and ever since he's been at Florida, they have been way in the plus side in that. And this is the first year they've been in those kind of numbers.
Yep, they're -2 right now. Actually, they'd be -1 because they got an interception earlier in the ball game. That time, Tyson Lee giving Florida a little taste of their own medicine on the quarterback keeper. Tyson, they list him at 5'10", 200.
Yeah,
probably not either.
He's definitely not 5'10".
Quick throw. This time they do go with a quick play. And they lost yardage. Brandon McCray with a catch.
I'll tell you the thing I like about Tyson Lee, though, is, I mean, you look in his eyes. I mean, there is no hesitation in him right now. He knows exactly what Dan Mullen wants, and he is making quick decisions. There is no hesitation where he's throwing the football, what he's doing. He just, again, he's just short, and so he can't just drop back in the pocket in the normal, traditional way and throw the football all the time. I mean, he can do it some, but not all the time.
They'll be in the shotgun here on 3rd down and 10. Mississippi State only 36% of their 3rd down conversions coming in. They're going to try to roll and look out from behind. He got rid of it to Dixon, but Dixon's not going to get a first down as Janoris Jenkins will back him up, and Mississippi State's going to have to kick.
Let's go. Hey, come on.
Jenkins, an all SEC freshman first-teamer a year ago. Dixon, we mentioned, the all-time leading rusher now, past Jarius Norwood, who's a member of the Atlanta Falcons.
This is where Mississippi State has to really be good, too. I mean, last year, this Florida team blocked 5 punts, 9 kicks altogether. They have 1 block kick this year, a punt in the Kentucky game.
The guy on the other end has got 4 punt return touchdowns in his career. High in the air, but very short. And the fair catch is going to have to be taken by Brandon James at the 33-yard line. Well, fans in Chicago, Boston, and Dallas-Fort Worth, there's a place for you to go to get the latest on your teams that you care about the most. Log on to ESPNChicago.com, Boston.com, and Dallas.com for local sports, news, radio highlights, and updates, and a lot more. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Aaron Andrews in Starkville, Mississippi, where this crowd has been ready for this game since about Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised to see Florida try to get the ball to Aaron Hernandez right here. He hasn't touched it yet.
They keep it on the ground, attempts, and a tough run for a speedster, finally buried under, and we check in with Reese again.
All right, Brad, the showdown in the Mountain West, TCU and BYU, and the Horned Frogs are out quickly. Taco Bell studio update shows you Andy Dalton finding Ed Wesley, and old Ed's going to do Superman to get over the pylon, and he's in there. First quarter's not yet over. Dalton 6 of 8 for 88, and the Frogs up by 14.
So TCU and Boise State continue their quest in the BCS standings.
And Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
I'm not so sure TCU's not the best of that bunch, though.
Tebow, the throw is complete. First down out to Deontay Thompson. And he's out of bounds, but he's in Mississippi State territory at about the 43-yard line. Well, Florida, believe it or not, has never been #1 in the BCS standings because they don't count at the end of the year. They only count going in. So they're #1. Alabama survived, if you missed it, on 2 blocked field goals against Tennessee. Texas playing right now, and you see the rest. As Tebow is going to keep it up the middle, and Kim gets inside the 40. Only twice in the 11 years that the BCS has been taking place has the team that initially was #1 go on to win the national championship. Florida State did it, and USC did it. It's not that Florida can't do it. It's just one of those stats that makes you wonder if a team like Florida can hold on, go all the way through this. The quest has always been get to Atlanta first and then worry about everything else. And, of course, Alabama held up their end barely, as most people think it's a collision course between the Tide and the Gators in the SEC title game at the Georgia Dome. Here's a shovel to Hernandez, and he stood up by that Mississippi State defense. They are playing stout right now.
Well, the strength of this defense is their linebacking core. K.J. Wright, probably the most gifted of those guys in there, their leading tackler, and he was the first guy to make contact with Hernandez there.
Bulldogs, one of the biggest games they've had here in a long time. Through 15 minutes, they're playing dead even with the top-ranked Gators. The SEC on ESPN. Tie game as we start the second quarter with Todd Blackledge and Aaron Andrews. I'm Brad Nessler. That's a defensive huddle, but the head coach is in there.
Well, Dan Mullen's the offensive play caller and head coach, but he is giving them some advice on what to expect on this third down play with the Florida offense. Again, his familiarity works on both sides of the ball.
Florida #1 in the league in third down conversions at 51%. There's what Tim Tebow has done so far through 15 minutes tonight. And he's going to keep it on a quarterback draw. Nice stiff arm, but he only got to the 35.
And see, this is what Carl Torbush told us in the meeting yesterday. He says when they go 1 back and 3 wide receivers, they're either going to throw a bubble screen or a quarterback draw. It's one or the other, and it's up to Tebow. If he doesn't like the bubble screen, he's going to run the football. And they were ready for it, and they stopped it short of the first down.
And now Florida will go on 4th down. They've only gone 6 times on 4th down so far this year. They've converted half. 4th and 2. Tebow, just no doubt, met head on, but he got it. That's where that 240 pounds comes in handy.
I mean, he is their short yardage and goal line run specialist. And at that point, he becomes a fullback.
Not only did Carl Torbush talk about with us about this, but Jamar Chaney did as well. He said, you know, you can scheme all day long, but when that 240 pounds is coming downhill towards you, it's not as easy to bring him down as you think. And so it's first down for Florida just outside the Mississippi State 32-yard line. Rainey. And Rainey found a little crease and got to maybe the 26.
The thing that Florida has done so well, and their offense has a different identity this year. They're not the downfield, vertical pass, explosive offense that they were a year ago. Their scoring is down in conference games. But they're about 70 yards better per game running the football. And on first down, they've been outstanding. They've averaged 7 yards per run on first down this season. That makes it easy to call plays.
Best in the country. Tebow, play action on the sideline, incomplete, intended for Hernandez. Well, they don't have Percy Harvin, and they don't have Lewis Murphy, so that changes the complexion of things they do. This is a guy they like to get it to a lot. They just couldn't this time.
Well, and Aaron Hernandez is very versatile, and they put him in a lot of different spots and get him the football, but he just doesn't have the same skill set that Percy Harvin had.
They got the last third down, or actually the fourth down, I should say, with Tim Tebow running. Here it's third down and 4. Mississippi State brings up a couple extra men. High snap. Tebow, first down, a bunch more. Heading to the corner. Tebow with a stiff arm. Touchdown. What a run. And he's just tied Herschel Walker in the SEC record books.
Well, the best thing that he did on this play was catch the snap. It was a bad snap, a high snap. The fake pitch was intentional, but the high snap was not, and Tebow is able to just stiff arm his way to the goal line.
And look at that power right there, and then just getting inside the pylon on a 26-yard touchdown romp. So for him, his 49th career rushing touchdown, and the extra point is up and good. Tebow tying Herschel and giving his team the touchdown lead, 10-3. Well, that guy just joined some pretty impressive company. His 49th career rushing touchdown for Tim Tebow, joining this group. Cadillac Williams, Kevin Falk, and just tied Herschel Walker with 49 scores in his career on the ground. Now, my folks and my friends back in Georgia are saying, hey, man, Herschel did it in 3 years. Well, Tebow's a quarterback, too,
yeah,
so
right.
That's kind of a push.
That is a push.
Sensational athlete. Herschel was kind of a Maserati. Tim's kind of an F-150. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That time, though, he did show some speed at 26 yards to the corner with the stiff arm for the touchdown. Here's the kick. Leon Berry, this one shorter. He'll take it at about the 10. And Berry's got a pretty good return out across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Well, talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, let's take a look at tonight's Good Hands Flashback, brought to you by Allstate from November 8, 1980. Dogs trailing the Gators late in the game.
Trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw on a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey Scott 35, 40. Lindsey Scott 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott.
And 26-21, Georgia went on to win the national championship. Larry Munson with maybe his best call ever in that one in Jacksonville. And that's where Florida will be next week to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, who have the weekend off. Urban Meyer talking this week about how he was a huge Herschel Walker fan when he was growing up and was a big Georgia Bulldog fan because of Herschel. Anthony Dixon, not really much on that play. Terrence Sanders with the tackle.
Tell you what this guy has done in Florida is really remarkable. 50 wins. Look at that. Tied for the fastest to do it as an SEC coach. His overall record, 89-17. 84% of his games he's won as a head coach. And boy, just doesn't show any signs of slowing down at Florida.
Oh, that's for sure. Ooh. Getting bulldozed. Terrence Sanders on Anthony Dixon. Second play in a row that he's made a big play there defensively. As we check in with Reese.
All right, guys, game going on in the SEC on ESPNU. Vanderbilt and South Carolina right after a Stephen Garcia touchdown pass. The redshirt freshman Warren Norman. And we're going to have to get our stats and information people researching. A lot of kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. Vandy has it tied at 7.
And here the SEC on ESPN, it's 10-3. Florida leading Mississippi State. Tyson Lee in the shotgun. Has time. Over the middle. Had to zip it past the umpire's head and intended it for Brandon McCray, incomplete.
Got that pass behind him, and Tyson knows that was a bad throw. He had protection, and if he hits McCray on the move, McCray might be able to turn this upfield for a first down. But as it turns out, another 3 and out for the Bulldog offense as this Gator defense starts to dig in their heels a little bit.
So Heath Hutchins into punt again. And I said before, look out for number 25 on the other end. He knows what to do with it when he gets his hands on it as a punt returner. Brandon James. Florida's got everybody up. And again, James will have to call for a fair catch at about the 26-yard line. So Florida's got the lead. Tim Tebow. This is what gave his #1 Gators the 10-3 advantage. He'll have the ball when we come back. So Florida with a touchdown lead here in Starkville. Beautiful night for football. And now Tim Tebow and the Gators leading 10-3. On the ground is Dents. K.J. Wright and the rest of the Mississippi State Bulldogs hold him up. This was Tim Tebow last week against Arkansas.
Well, they needed to win the game, and Tim Tebow put the team on his back, as he's done so many times. 14 plays, 69 yards. Tebow running and passing set up the winning field goal by Sturgis. But again, we've seen this so much from Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
It's not just the measurables, it's what he does for his team.
Penalty markers down. And that stops play here. Full start.
You know, the new quarterback coach that Tim has is Scott Loeffler. And he was with the Lions last year in the NFL, but he was a long-time assistant at Michigan, coached a lot of big-time quarterbacks at Michigan. You know, worked with Brian Griese, Tom Brady, Drew Henson, Chad Henne. And I asked him before the game, you've coached some good ones. What makes this guy special? And he said, the intangible.
Yeah.
He said, some of those other guys I had throw it better. His intangibles are off the charts. And you see it every week.
Here he is in an empty backfield, middle screen to Hernandez, the tight end. And he's got a first down. And it'll bring it out across the 35 to the 38-yard line with a first down. You know, talking about Tim Tebow and watching that drive last week, and we talked to Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator. I said, you know, you've seen him so often. Did he just get that look in his eye again? And it's like he wills his team to win.
Absolutely.
And he's just a competitor like we've never seen before.
I've never seen anybody like it. And he can put a team on his back and will them to victory. And he wants the ball in his hands every play.
This time he zips it to Cooper, and he's got another first down in Mississippi State territory now at the 41-yard line.
You know, the funny thing that Steve Adazio told us is the balancing act that he has to go through with this team is he's got Tebow yelling at him, ride this horse, meaning I want the ball, let me run the ball, and he's got to balance that and his desire to give him the ball and to try to preserve him, too, for the whole season.
Right. First down, he rides it and pitches it to Moody. James, rather. Brandon James has got it to the 35-yard line.
I think the one thing this offense is looking for is another wideout, and that guy right there, number 6, Deontay Thompson, is the guy I think they're hoping will be that guy. He had a 77-yard touchdown reception last week against Arkansas, and he's got the speed and the big playability to go opposite Riley Cooper and give him another threat down the field.
He comes way out here to the left side with a second down and 3. Just outside the 35. Inside handoff, and it's a first down for Moody. Emmanuel Moody at the 26. So Florida's got it working again with 9.5 minutes to go in the half and leading by a touchdown.
You've got Demps, who averages 8.4 yards a carry. You've got Rainey, who averages 6.8. And you got Moody, the best of all three, coming into the game tonight, averaging almost 9 yards a carry. It is a running football team with an offensive line that is physical and athletic and built to knock people off the ball.
Chris Rainey in there with Tebow now. He'll get the carry. And Rainey broke through a little crease almost took it to the end zone. Boy, there was just a sliver of light there, and he was through it in the blink of an eye.
Well, watch the pull here. Watch the center, Marquise Pouncey. 56 is going to get out here and lead this play. I just talked about the athleticism of this line. That's a center. Snaps it, gets out in front of the play, and leads Rainey towards the goal line.
Now it's 1st and goal at the 6. Florida trying to take command of this game here. The midway point of the 2nd quarter. Kemp's back in there. Tebow wants to throw. They'll get to him. And he goes down at about the 7.
That was well defended. Again, they run, and then he does a great job of selling that run and then stepping back to throw. And Mississippi State was not fooled. They had coverage downfield, and they were able to contain Tebow on the scramble.
Dorbush twice his team has come up with a stand here in the red zone to force field goal attempts. Trying to do it again. 2nd and goal. Tebow fakes the pitch, brings it back the other way. Heading to the corner. He's not going to get there. Knocked out of bounds at about the 4. Good pursuit by Broomfield and Banks to knock him out of bounds.
Yeah, kind of the same play he scored on in the 1st quarter. Watch him fake the toss, try to get that defense running, and then he's going to cut it back to the other side. But they did a nice job. 2 plays in a row of containing Tim Tebow on the run.
Third and goal for Florida. Percentage of the offense for number 15, 61%. Let's see if he'll carry it again. Empty backfield. Cooper comes in motion. Tebow looking to the end zone. Has Cooper in front of him. And he's going to throw it away.
Yep, that's good defense.
Yes,
3 plays in a row in the red zone. 2 passes and a run. Excellent job of defense by Mississippi State. Irvin knows he's got to kick it. I mean, he said
he's biting his lip over there.
He's not happy, but he knows that they got him.
So again, they do force the field goal attempt. Sturgis has hit one and missed one tonight. This will be from 21 yards on the left hash. And it's up and good. Another 21-yard field goal tacks on to the lead, but Tim Tebow kept out of the end zone. 13-3 Gators. The SEC on ESPN from Starkville, Mississippi. Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field, where Florida leads the Bulldogs 13-3. And before the kick, we've got time for tonight's trivia question. We've been talking about rushing touchdowns. Who holds the FBS career record for rushing touchdowns? We talked about Herschel, Tim Tebow. Yeah. Are they the guys, or is there somebody else? Think it over. So again, Mississippi State's defense forced the field goal that ended a 69-yard drive in 10 plays, 4.5 minutes. And Sturgis hit from 21 yards.
It's an important drive for the Bulldog offense, though. They've got to let their defense rest a little bit. Back-to-back 3 and outs.
Here's a kick. It'll chase Leon Berry to the 1-yard line. Berry got a block. Out across the 40 to the 42. A 41-yard kickoff return. Good field position for the Bulldogs after we check in with Reese Davis.
Fred, Sports Center right now, a thriller in Tuscaloosa. Big Terrence Cody blocked a couple of field goals in the second half for Alabama, and the Tide escape 12-10 against one of their rivals. See Cody celebrating. Lane Kiffin's team put up a great fight. Texas, they always win the week after they play Oklahoma. Colt McCoy, Jordan Shipley, up 7-0 on Mizzou. That's on ABC. Sports Center after the game. Stay current with news.
All right, Reese here. Play action. The pass incomplete. Intended for Christian Dupree, and they haven't been able to establish Anthony Dixon at all either, Todd.
Well, and what this game feels like is this defense of Florida is starting to settle in, and they're making it more and more difficult. Mississippi State has to be good on first down to have a chance.
Dixon's only got 14 yards on 6 carries. Now he's got 15 yards on 7 carries. Ryan Stamper is there. Terrence Sanders, who's had a big game on that defensive line that, as Aaron was talking about, has been banged up. Yeah, he's playing really well in this first half.
Well, and he's been one of the most consistent guys that they've had in there. I mean, and he's had to play more, less rotations because of the injuries of some guys behind him. And right now, they got Duke Lemons in the middle here in their joker package. Right here, he's really a defensive end, but because of the shortage of bodies, they've got to put him in as an inside rusher.
Tyson Lee, it's a big play here. They're going to bring the heat. Lee in trouble, and he's not going to get out of it. Penalty markers down. Dunlap is the guy that's got the sack, but it could have been just about anybody.
Dunlap with the tackle, flags on the play.
Dunlap, who already had a tipped pass tonight that led to an interception, and now he's got the sack. And a chop block to boot, it appears.
Well, again, the problem for Tyson Lee is he just has trouble seeing over big bodies. I mean, that was some pressure. The protection was good enough. I just don't think he could see downfield to where he wanted to throw the football.
Number 70. The penalty is declined.
So they decline the penalty, forcing the punt.
3 consecutive 3-and-outs now forced by this Gator defense. So much attention paid to them coming back, returning all 11 starters, and they are the real deal, even without Spikes tonight.
And that's just put too much pressure on that Mississippi State defense that's holding its own. Hutchins gets the kick away. James going to have to let this one bounce. And it will actually take a Florida roll back to about the 24-yard line. Tim Tebow still got plenty of time to work with all his timeouts. Just under 6 minutes remaining till halftime.
First down 10, 24-yard line. Tebow in the gun, shotgun snap, play action. Drops back, looks to throw, fires deep for the end zone, wide open in quarantine, and Riley Cooper, touchdown! Oh my! Riley Cooper in the right corner, and the Gators take the lead.
And another big win. Nick Huber with a call. Tim Tebow has done so many times over his 4-year career.
That was the first night game that LSU has lost at home in about 32 straight games.
Yep. Moody. Nice bounce to the outside, and Moody almost got a first down run out of it. Mississippi State trying defensively to slow down Florida, but their offense is not helping them.
Yeah. And with the running game, I mean, it's just, you just keep getting punched in the mouth and punched in the mouth, and that wears on you. And when you don't get much rest on the sideline, it really starts to show up.
Tonight, 167 yards already. 26 of those by the Florida quarterback. Second down and short. And they got the first down. Rainey takes it. Rainey, when we were talking with Steve Adazio, talking about the difference between Demps, he said, you know, he's got speed like you just have never seen. Chris Rainey's probably the most elusive. And then Emmanuel Moody, powerful, and has got the best change of direction of the three. Nice combination.
Yeah, and then the sledgehammer, the quarterback, when he runs it. You know?
Exactly. Demps back in there now, a first down. Just under 5 minutes remaining. In the half, Florida by 10. Play action, Tebow. Directing traffic and running out of time.
He's got to throw that ball away.
Yeah.
That's what Urban Meyer was upset with him in the Arkansas game. He said, you know, we held the ball too long. They had too many sacks, and that sack is on the quarterback, not the offensive line. If you don't like it, if you don't got it, either run it or throw it away. But don't take a loss of yardage play just because you feel like you have to throw the ball down the field.
He's dancing around back there for 7 or 8 seconds. That brings up second down and long. 2nd and 12. They don't put themselves in long yardage situations very often. Now Tebow on the option with a pitch. The Demps. Whoa, man, what a collision with Charles Mitchell. Hello. Demps bounces right back up.
And Charles Mitchell is kind of the veteran. Let's listen to this one.
Wow. So you want to be a tailback.
Oh,
great. Moody back in there. It's 3rd down and long. 3rd and 9. Tebow scans the field, shovels it ahead, completes it to Moody, and he didn't quite get there. It doesn't appear anyway. Looks to be a couple feet shy. Well, nice improvisation by Tim Tebow. They have a lot of those shovel passes in their arsenal, but this one was kind of a long shovel.
I wouldn't be surprised if they might look for a fake punt here. Although, if Mississippi State is smart, which I'm sure they'll be prepared for it, and go safe punt here. 4th and very short.
Henry set up at the 35-yard line. He'll kick it. Chad Bumpus is going to field it at the 9. Dangerous. Goes down right in his tracks. Nice punt coverage by Joe Hayden and company for Florida, but Mississippi State has the ball back with 2:36 remaining in the half. And a little bit earlier, we asked you tonight's trivia question. It was, who holds the FBS Football Bowl subdivision career record for rushing touchdowns? Travis Prentice, Miami, 73 touchdowns on the ground. That's a bunch. And tonight, you missed it, Tim Tebow tied Herschel Walker's SEC mark with his 49th career rushing touchdown for the top spot in the SEC record book. And we still got a whole half to go, so that might even be broken before the night's over. And just nothing doing for the ground game of Mississippi State right now. That was Dupree. Jermaine Cunningham made the stop.
Well, this depleted defensive line of Charlie Strong, that's the defensive coordinator, they are starting to control the line of scrimmage. And when you stuff them on 1st down, then the advantage, any advantage there is, swings to the defense completely. 2nd and 10, probably a 3rd and long. That's all advantage defense.
Tyson Lee trying to get something going here in the shotgun for the Bulldogs. 3 wide receivers, all to the right side, but they'll keep it on the ground. And this is Dixon trying to find room, and Anthony just can't. Maybe got out to the 14. That's about it. Well, the chase hitting the halfway point. Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon looking to close the gap on Jimmy Johnson. NASCAR's best head to the shortest track on the circuit in Martinsville tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Presented by Goodyear. Jimmy Johnson in the lead. Martin, Gordon, Stewart, and Bush in the top 5. Right now, Mississippi State could use a NASCAR to hand it to just to get something going offensively. 3rd down and 5. And utilizing the entire clock before they snap it here. Lee again rolling left and throwing incomplete. Intended for Bumpus. And Ahmad Black was back there. And the natives here getting a little bit restless about the Mississippi State offense.
Well, this is a Florida defense that is one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country. Again, all starters returning. This is Dixon and Cunningham going at it away from the play at the end of the play. But it's a unit that I think felt bad last week. You know, they gave 133 yards rushing to Arkansas. They gave up a few big plays in the passing game to Ryan Mallett. Playing with a purpose tonight.
Now they don't want anything to happen right here with just a minute left in the half. That's for sure. And they got it. There's a block punt. Florida blocks the kick, and they've got it at the 6-yard line. That's the last thing you wanted to have happen with 65 seconds to go in the quarter.
They were closer on the last one. I mean, each punt, they've gotten closer and closer. And I mentioned in the beginning, they only have 1 block kick this year. That was a big part of their success last year. And Rainey, untouched off the edge, using that speed to get to the football.
So now Florida's got a chance to just take command with a minute left in the half as they're at the 6-yard line. Rainey playing the starters on special teams with the block kick, and now Tebow and company have got all their timeouts and 59 seconds to work with. That is a killer for the Bulldogs, unless they can come up with a stop. So far, they do. Dents only got about a yard. Mississippi State saying the ball came out. Kyle Love on the bottom of the pile with the tackle. They're trying to get the band to back up, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. The band needs to get back, coach. Good stop on the play. The knees are down.
Dan Mullen can control a lot of things as a first-year head coach, but he really doesn't have anything to do with the band, I don't think. Well, maybe he does. Florida takes the timeout. Mississippi State trying to somehow come up with another stop to prevent a Florida touchdown.
I'm Reese Davis. Coming up on the Wendy's halftime report, number 2 Alabama was pushed to the brink, but Tennessee couldn't quite get over the mountain. A thriller between Miami and Clemson that came down to the final play in overtime, and Iowa is pushing toward perfection, and Michigan State is pushing back. Lou Holtz and Mark May join me. We'll see you in just a few moments.
All right, Reese, we'll see you for the Wendy's halftime report in about 52 seconds. Jeffrey Demps on that last carry. They're taking a look at it in the booth upstairs as the ball actually did come out, but his knee was down before the loose football. So Florida comes up to the line for a 2nd and goal at the 6-yard line. Again, red zone troubles the past few weeks. Will they only get a field goal here? That's what Mississippi State's hoping for. Tebow's in trouble. Down he goes. Fletcher Cox is there with company from Pernell McPhee. Florida takes another timeout. Down to 1. They've been down in the red zone before with 3rd and goal. And here's their 3rd down plays.
Well, that was when the penetration, again, the ball on the 1-yard line, snapped it off the 1, and then Tebow with nowhere to go with the football ends up having to throw it away the next time they were down here on 3rd down.
So on 3rd and 4th downs, they have been having to really work for it. 1 for 3 passing for Tebow, 4 rushes for 28 yards, 2 first downs. So this is a huge 3rd down right here. Not sure I'm arguing with that young man with that sign.
Yeah. Little extra coaching in there at the end of that huddle by Urban Meyer talking to David Nelson, who is this receiver right here in the slot.
Hernandez on the left side as Tebow's hurried, throws, tipped, intercepted in the end zone. Coming back the other way, Jonathan Banks. Banks, look out. 100-yard touchdown.
Well, we've seen Tim Tebow hold on to the ball too long instead of throw it away. That time he thought about throwing it away and tried to make a play and got burnt.
You talk about a dramatic turn of events. Steve Pasquale in for the point after it instead of Florida 20-3. It's Florida 13-10.
Well, it started out with good coverage again by Mississippi State, and Tim Tebow was not able to throw this ball on rhythm. Watch as he goes back. He's not able to just set up and throw. Good coverage. He has to throw back it up, and Broomfield gets his hands on the ball, and then the safety, Banks, picks it off. But Tim Tebow probably should have thrown this one away. He just tried to get a little greedy. And the freshman, Jonathan Banks, with his big play. Wow.
You think he'll remember this one forever? The freshman out of Maiden, Mississippi, coast to coast touchdown. it's somebody catching, and nobody did.
Wow. Wow. What a turnaround. I mean, they're in the position to just get blasted here right at the end of the half. The block punt, the chances of coming back from 20 to 3 against this defense, bleak at best.
The explanation's over. The party's just starting. Mississippi State has taken a timeout. I'm not sure this isn't a bad idea. Just let the crowd continue to rock this stadium. And with that, with 27 seconds left in the half, you're talking about a young man who played quarterback in high school. He was an all-state linebacker in high school, starting in the secondary in the SEC, and he just picks off maybe the best player in the country and goes all the way.
Well, and he was in the right place at the right time. And credit the pressure. They got to Tebow and forced him to throw off his back foot. And again, you know, even as great as Tebow is, he is so competitive, and he wants to play well in this game and beat his former coach, Dan Mullen. He made a bad decision throwing that ball just up for grabs.
He doesn't want to give up on a play, and sometimes you have to. Take the three, go to the locker room in command. Instead, you've got about 56,000 going crazy in here. And Bully is saying, bully to Banks. I like it.
I thought it was funny. Dan Mullen told us about Jonathan Banks. You know, because he was committed. They weren't sure if they were going to still get him when the new staff came in. And he said, a couple of coaches said, you don't have to worry about any coaches stealing him from you because his school's so small, nobody's going to find him. You can't find it on a GPS.
He used to ride a horse to school. There was 23 in his graduating class. Now he's got 55,000 new friends tonight. Rick Burgess takes the kick. Let's take one more look.
Man. What a turnaround. Pressure.
And once he cut back right here, the Banks were open. Even on a Saturday night. That might be one of the biggest defensive plays we've seen all year long.
It could not have come at a more opportune time. But 23 seconds remaining. But look at what Florida. They're going to take a knee here to end the half. This is going to make this crowd go crazy.
Illegal substitution on Florida.
Right now, Urban Meyer's saying, you know what? The best thing for us is let's get to the locker room and regroup. Mississippi State, on the other hand, wishes they could just roll right into the third quarter right now.
Well, the wheels aren't falling off for the #1 team in the country, but the lug nuts are a little bit loose right now at halftime. And now we got a skirmish going on before they ever get to the locker room. Everybody trying to separate these two teams, including the head coach who's right in the thick of it, trying to get his Bulldogs to the locker room. Halftime, #1 Florida 13, unranked Mississippi State 10. Yeah, they finally got them pretty much separated as we go down to air.
Coach, you told us yesterday you wanted your players to control their emotions, but I got to know, what was your reaction when you saw that true freshman with his pick six there?
I'll tell you, it was an unbelievable play. Our defense playing their hearts out down there in the red zone right now, holding them, and we're bending, not breaking. That's a huge play. Gives us a lot of momentum going into halftime.
But what do you have to do to get your offense going in the second half?
You know what? They're doing a great great job stopping us. We got to get that run game fixed. Get a couple things. They're confusing our guys up front a little bit. We'll get that fixed at halftime.
All right, thanks, Sam.
All right, so Dan Mullen against his old boss, Urban Meyer, and he is right in the thick of it in front of a record crowd. Halftime, Florida 13, Mississippi State 10. Time to send you now to the Wendy's halftime report. Reese Davis and the guys. Fellas, it's all yours.
All right, Brad, and the Florida trip to Starkville typically ends like that Thelma and Louise movie where they drive right off the cliff at the end. Florida hasn't won there since 1985, and that was a cliff-driving moment right there. The pick six turns the whole game around, don't you think? You watch Thelma and Louise?
No.
It's the only one I could think of where there was an utter disaster at the end of the movie, which it has been for Florida.
Why don't you and I talk? Let me tell you, the last 5 minutes.
I have to decipher Dr. Lou every week. You can't decipher one analogy?
Hey, the last 5 minutes of the first half, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter are critical in a football game, and that big play by Mississippi State is big. I know it's big, but I want to tell you, kick the field goal. Don't be impatient.
Well, yeah, I tell you, 4 straight outright upsets by the Bulldogs. Historically, I know it doesn't really mean anything for this game tonight, but it is weird how history tends to repeat itself. A little more cowbell in a 3-point game for the #1 team coming up in the second half. Another game going on ESPN2 in the SEC. Auburn and LSU. LSU #9 in the BCS standings. They had a week off, and the Mad Hatter was looking for a little more offense. He finds some Jordan Jefferson to Terrence Tolliver.
What a nice touch on this pass. Jordan Jefferson throws it exactly where it has to be for his receiver to go up and get it for the score.
7-0 there. It's now 14-0. Chris Todd. This is a great play by Chris Hawkins. Oh, you won't see a prettier interception than that.
Well, LSU is playing good defense this entire year. Their offense has given them some problems. And Auburn, they're not going against a great defensive football team at Auburn.
And Auburn's been really struggling all of a sudden on offense the last 3 games. Vanderbilt in South Carolina. Stephen Garcia to D.L. Moore. D.L. juggled. They looked at that a long time. Gave it to him. Touchdown. And apparently after they, what do you think, Mark?
I think it shouldn't have been called a touchdown. I think that's another questionable SEC call. That, to me, is not a touchdown. If you go back and look at it, his foot is still on the line when he does have possession.
They gave it to him. Point perhaps moved. Vanderbilt ran the ensuing kickoff back for a touchdown, so it's tied at 7. Still to come in the Wendy's halftime report. Alabama and Tennessee in a classic finish in an old-time rivalry.